planning... Oh, I got to hit the thing.
Hit the thing. See, I wasn't going to tell you.
And then I almost forgot.
Yeah.
All right. So the topic we want to talk about here is how to think about setting up units of measure on an item. It is... I have some thoughts on this that have served me pretty well. And I have had... God help you if you sell gloves. That's all I'm going to say. So, all right. Let's just kind of talk through the concept of all the different units of measure and what they really mean. All right. Base unit of measure. First thing to understand about that is this is the unit of measure in which inventory will be stored on the database. Like it's the lowest functional unit of inventory. And my guidance in 99% of cases is
cases.
This is going downhill so fast. My guidance in 99% of situations is that it should be the lowest conceivable unit that you're going to operate in. Notice I didn't say sell or buy. I avoided those two words on purpose. Here's a great example. We buy this item by the pallet. We sell it by the box. Great. Oh yeah, we also do secondary processes to break it down, put it into smaller packages, and put it into vending machines. What is the smallest conceivable unit that you will try to transact in? And, I understand 9 times out of 10 that you're going to sell a pack of 12 and that's your base unit. But if you ever crack that package open, you are now working in each.
Yeah, and your smallest one doesn't have to be what you sell. I mean, because if you always sell them in packs of 12, you just make that your default sales unit.
Correct. So, and that's a great segue. So the check boxes that you're faced with are the default sales and sales pricing unit. Okay. So that's just what it sounds like. Like by default, if I enter a sales order for this, it's going to be for one of that unit or X of that unit, which could be a case, could be a carton, it could be a box, could be a pallet, could be an each. It doesn't matter. It's like, what do you normally sell it in? Go with that. Sales pricing unit. Like, well, why would that ever be different than the sales unit? Well, there are industries that do that. So like if you take the fastener industry, for example, you frequently get into situations where things are so small and inexpensive that like tenths of a penny count. And so in order to combat that, what they do is they sell it by the 100 or by the 1,000. So you'll see a pricing unit of C or M, Roman numerals, just in case anybody cares. But so like I sell you 500 each and I'm pricing them at $5 per 100. Something like that. Or, $50 per 1,000, however you want to set that up. Purchase pricing and purchase units are the same thing. It's just on the buying side. Yeah, I understand they normally sell by the box. We buy by the case or the pallet or whatever. This allows you to do that. Now, if you substitute a lot, okay, and you're substituting similar products from different suppliers. So 3M makes, I'm not using masks. I refuse. Bic sells pens in packs of 12. Is Papermate even still around? Mm-hmm. Okay. Papermate sells them in packs of 10, right? If you have those set up as substitutes, You need to think about the fact that if pack is your, or, you know, if pack is your base unit on those two things, it doesn't represent the same number of pins. You subbed 10 pins for something you would normally sell 12. Okay. That's a cruddy example, but you get my point. Like, if you're trying to know how many pins you sold, your substitution is going to be messed up because it's going to try to resolve back to the base unit. But if the two base units are not common to each other, the data is worthless.
Yeah.
So, you know, these are considerations. If you manufacture or if you do a lot of production, which I guess could be considered the same thing, but here's a really good real life example. Let's say that you're, again, I came from fasteners. You're making bolts out of bars of steel. You're making a 4-inch bolt out of a 40-foot bar of steel. You can make, you know, however many bolts out of one bar based on whatever your cut length is. If you say that the base unit of measure for the steel is 1 bar, that means you have to do the division to say, like, it's 1/480th of a bar is an inch. That's insanity. That's not going to work. You're going to get into decimal precision issues that will haunt you for the rest of your days.
And decimals are so much fun in P21.
Yeah. So,
especially manufacturing.
So we may always buy by the bar or the pound or the hundredweight or whatever it is, but we're actually cutting it down to the inch or smaller. We need to set that base unit of measure at the smallest unit that we could conceivably work in. The reason that I said God help you if you sell gloves, because I spent an hour explaining this. And I said, look, the base unit of gloves is a pair. That's it, right? A dozen can be derived from a pair, blah, blah, blah. And then they were like, what about rubber gloves? There's no left or right. And I'm like, I quit. I don't.
Unit of measure, a glove.
Yeah. What do you do then? You know?
And again, this stuff can be...
It's a mind bender. It really is.
Well, and you can alter it after, but it's such a pain.
Here's okay. Here's the thing. It's easier to go up than it is to come down. So if you can't make a decision, or if you have a lot of consternation in the organization about, hey, we should do it this way or that way, err on the side of using the smaller unit of measure, because it's much easier to up convert than it is to down convert. If you need to up convert, you just set a different unit of measure as your defaults and be done with it. It's fine. If you need to down convert, now you're doing a base unit of measure change. I'm just going to tell you straight out, I have never been that successful doing those unless I had canceled the sales orders, canceled the POs, and adjusted all the inventory first.
I was about to say, I've done it.
It's
but you got to cancel
horrifying.
all transactions.
Yeah.
And we actually did it where when we had to do it, we adjusted the inventory out. We knew how much the cost of the final, like if we adjusted $200 out, whatever the unit sizes were,
you had to get it back in at $200. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was lit because we tried it the other way. We tried to do it midstream. Honestly, it's burn it down and then rebuild it back up.
Yep.
We basically would cancel all open transactions, then create the new unit of measure. Well, actually, first we would adjust out, then go create the new unit of measure, delete the old unit of measure, or soft delete, then go back and adjust in with the correct end value. It's the only way to do it 100% right.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you also need to go, I don't trust the system, and we can show this when we change a default unit. I never trusted the math.
Oh, the rescaling? Yeah.
Right. I always felt better just, okay, it's all, inventory's all out. Here's my new purchasing unit. Here's my new sales one. And I'd go set my costs and lists accordingly and then go do my adjustment back in. It's a pain.
Yeah. And if you think about trying to do it on a high volume item, oof, something that always has sales orders open on it, it's, again, seriously, err on the side of setting your base smaller because it's way easier to recover from that. That's it.
And this is why unit of measure should not be a default in item maintenance.
Yeah.
Or because it is so, yes, I mean, theoretically the unit size is what really matters. You always have to have one, but it gets real nasty real quick. So,
I mean, we have seen systems set up where each case and pack all have a unit size of 1.
Yeah.
It's like,
that doesn't work.
That doesn't work.
That's not how math works.
No.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is a conversation that like when it comes to setting up, I bet you in a pre-implementation consulting scenario, we will spend more time talking about how you're going to set up the intricacies of items than anything else, just because it underpins. I mean, it's a distribution system. Of course it underpins everything. That's what distribution is. And trying to unravel fundamental mistakes in that process, it's bad. I mean, we've done it. We've gone in and done repairs of 75,000 items, but I don't want to do it again if I don't have to.
Well, and it's one of those things, like I said, it touches everything you do in your business, but sometimes people just pencil whip it through, and it's just like, it's so important. Why would you not take the time to make sure it's right?